it visible, guys? At least acknowledge me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, guys. So our today's topic is user-defined function, and we are going to discuss this topic. First, let's focus on the concept of function. That what is function and why we need to learn the function. So let's say that I have, let's say, okay, let's say I have a piece of code. These are the instructions I have written. These are the instructions. This is my program. Now, uh, guys, I'll ask questions. You have to answer. So this is my program code. Let's say that this is A, means some code. I'm just giving the name. The same, these four lines I'm using over here. Then some code. Then again some code. Let's say D. And let's say again I am using the same code. Means here what I am doing, I am using the same code. See, here I have few lines which I am going to use repetitively in my program. So now the question is, if I have four lines over here, if I have four lines, so in that case, can I say that the same four lines I'm writing again and again and again? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So it means what? That if my total instruction lines, let's say 100 lines, total 100 lines of program, and now the same code, the same line I'm writing again and again and again, it means it will increase the number of lines of code. And
Yes.
if I'm using the same code, if I'm using the same code, then it is not a good idea to write the same code again and again and again. If you remember, in a looping structure has the same concept. Like some instruction, we suppose we some instruction we want to repeat. In that case, we use the loop, right? To minimize the code, but here if you notice that I'm using the code uh, over here, then there is a gap. See, this is the gap. Then again I am using the code, then again there is a gap, and again I am using the code. Means it is not a continue, it is not continue. It is like somewhere I am using, then some gap, again I am using, then some gap, again I am using. It means I cannot use the loop in this case. Can I use the loop in this case?
No, ma'am.
No.
The reason, any idea why I cannot use loop? The reason is, when we talk about the loop is a continuous structure. Means once I have started from 1, then there must be some termination. Like let's say 10. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10, it is continuous. While when we talk about this type of things, like code, then some gap, then code, then some gap, in that case it is not it is not continuous, right? And for that reason I cannot use loop. So what we can do with this type of problems, for that we can use the function concept, and this we call the function. Now see this. Now what I'll do, see, I have some code, right? This is my code. This is my code. And when this is my original code, and this A, this is my A code. Four lines. And this is my original .c program. This is my original .c program. Now what will I do? I have given the name to this code. This four lines I have given the name A. Means this portion, this piece of code is known as A. So now whenever it is required to use this code, what will I do? I will simply put A. Okay, over here I need, then I have a B portion, then again I want to use the A, then again set some code, then again I want to use A. It means what? That in between in between the code you can simply write the name of the function. Like A is over here. See, I am not writing the code again and again and again, and what I am simply doing, I am simply calling this code. I'm simply calling this code. Understood everyone the concept?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the concept of function. This is the concept of function. What is function? Function is a piece of code to which we give some name, and we use them sorry, we use that name in our program whenever it is required, instead of writing the same code again and again and again. Can anyone repeat? The actual use of function or the definition of function?
It's a piece of code which we give a specific name and we use it in the code whenever it is required. We can use it
Perfect.
again and again. We can call the function.
Perfect. So, what is function? Function, I'm repeating, what is function? So, the function is nothing but the piece of code. We give some name to that code, that piece of code, and whenever it is required, we will simply call that function whenever it is required, rather than writing the same code again and again and again. And this is the concept of function. Clear, everyone? Guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So after understanding the concept of the function, now user defined function. What is the meaning of the user defined function? So, okay, do you know this? Sorry. Guys, do you know this?
Yes, ma'am.
What is this?
That's it. User
Okay.
defined function.
No. Anyone?
Get set is the function which holds the console screen.
Yeah.
These are all inbuilt functions in C.
Yes.
I
So all these are inbuilt function. Inbuilt function, or ready-made function, or system defined function. System defined function means a function which we can use directly rather than writing the code for that. We simply pass the parameters whenever it is required. We simply pass the parameters and we use that particular function. So now this is system defined, and we are going to understand user defined. So what is the meaning of user defined function? The user defined function means you can write the function, you can create the function by your own and you can use it. That we call the user defined function. Now, when we talk about the user defined function, three things you need to understand. The first is declaration of the function, then calling, and third is definition. Guys, remember these three words, three things, because it's very important. First is declaration, then second calling, and third is the definition. Whenever you create the function, whenever you make user defined function, first you need to declare it, then you need to call it, and also you need to define it. So how to use this, or how to define the user defined function, that we will understand. Is this clear, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
मैम
Any query?
यस मैम
Yeah.
मैम थोड़ा उस तरफ करो ना
Yeah.
दैट यस मैम मैम डिक्लेरेशन और डेफिनेशन में दोनों में फ़र्क क्या होता है
डेफिनेशन में हम लोग एक्चुअली कोड लिखेंगे, that lines which we want to use repetitively, एंड डिक्लेरेशन में हम कंपाइलर को बताते हैं कि हमने ऐसा फंक्शन डिफाइन किया है. हम एग्जांपल
ओके
देखें,
मैम
यू विल गेट एन आइडिया.
ओके मैम
Okay, now let's say a simple program, addition of two numbers. Let's say a simple program, addition of two numbers. If I ask you to do this program, how will you write the code quickly? First, you will add the libraries, then quickly, guys.
Declare the variables, integer variables.
Okay.
Let's say int no1, no2, and sum.
Hmm.
Sum is
Then
equal to
first
0.
libraries, right? Then
Yeah.
main function.
Main function.
Then
Then
variable declaration.
yes.
Then
And
process.
CLR, SCR.
Yes, that we understood.
Yeah.
Then we'll take the input from the user.
Yes. The two numbers.
Yes. Then we will do the process,
Yes.
and then output
Output.
at the end of the program. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
This is standard. These are the standard instructions, standard steps. But what if I ask you to do the same program, addition of two numbers using function? इट माइट बी पॉसिबल कि लाइक अभी तक जितने भी प्रोग्राम्स हमने किए हैं, यू मे बी आस्क्ड टू डू द सेम प्रोग्राम यूजिंग द फंक्शन. So in that case, you need to understand these three things: declaration, calling, and definition. And keep in mind, this definition portion contains your actual logic. I repeat, when it is asked, do any program, perform any program using using the function, in that case, definition portion contains your original logic. Understood, everyone?
यस
Yes,
मैम
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So this definition will contain your logic. So now let's understand the declaration and calling, and how to write the function. So let's say that here I have a program. Let me write it. Okay, so let's quickly tell me the line. Like, we'll start from the main function, that is our void main, huh? Then we'll have integer no1, no2, and sum we will take. Then we'll take the value from the user. I'm writing this in a short manner. two numbers, then scanf person D
मैम
person
ऊपर एक कोट कम है,
कहाँ पे? हाँ अभी कोई
एंटर दबाइए।
प्रॉब्लम नहीं, हाँ हाँ अभी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी, कंपाइल नहीं करना है, सो डोंट वरी, चलेगा, अभी के लिए चलेगा। आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू रन दिस इज जस्ट फॉर द understanding. Okay, after that we do sum is equal to no1 plus no2, and then we will print the answer. Will it be the code, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a simple program. But now if because it was asked that do the same program using the function, then what is our actual logic in this program? Logic section.
Sum is equal to no1 plus no2.
Yes. So this is your logic, right? This is your logic. So normally we write our logic in the definition section. Now, because I want to create the function, what you need to do in the same program, after void main, write your function. You can keep any name. Let's say I'm giving the add sum is my function name. Because it's a function, I'm going to write the brackets. Now this is my user defined function, right? And here I can write my logic. It is not always necessary, it is not always mandatory that write the logic only, but it is just a advice because we are starting the function concept. So just just an advice that use your logic or write your logic inside the function. So now what I'll do, I'll write my logic over here. Number 1 plus number 2, and I'll simply comment this. Okay, so I'll simply comment this. So it means what? That after inputting two numbers, this is, see, this section, this is my function, this is the function, and this is the definition, this is definition, right? So now I need to call it, I need to call the function. So how you can call our function? For that you can simply write the name of the function. What is the name of the function, guys?
Add sum.
Add sum and bracket. So this section is the calling section, this section is the calling section. This is definition, then above is a calling, and one thing remain, that is
Declaration.
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 okay. So let's declare the function. The declaration of the function will write in the declaration section only immediately after the variable declaration, and declaration contains your name of the function along with the return data type. So this function is not returning me anything, so I have simply written void. What is void, what is return data type, how does it work, everything we will see gradually. Right now just understand three things you need to understand. That first, definition, calling, and this is your declaration. So basically in the declaration portion, we write the function name along with the return data type. This is your return data type that we will learn in the next lecture. After taking input from the user, we write our, or whenever it is required, you can simply mention you can simply call the function. And after end of the void main, this is the end of the void main, this is the end of the main, and after main function you can write the definition of the program, or sorry, definition of the function. And it might be possible that if it's your main function, in that after the main you may have multiple functions, like function, then another function, function 1, another function. So there is no any limit to write the function. These are the user defined function. In short, we call it UDF. We call it UDF. Understood, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
So the main reason behind today's lecture is to make you understand the concept. So this is your concept, right? This is your concept of function, like certain piece of code which you want to use repetitively in your program. You can simply give the name to that code, and that name you can use in your program whenever it is required. There is no any limit like you can use only once or a twice. No, n number of times you can use. So this is the first thing about the concept of the function. Then we call it user defined because we are defining it, we are creating it. Certain many functions we have, we call them user system defined function, which we can use directly. So when we talk about the user defined function, three things we need to understand: declaration, calling, and definition. And always write down the UDF after the main function. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubt, any query?